Thank you so much to those of you that took the time to watch my last video and comment and interact and encourage. I feel like it was like an unclogging of my soul, that video, and I just like feeling that connecting with people from that space that I shared was very healing for me. It like allowed my energy to free up again and my expression to come through again and my heart to open. Like, it really meant the world to me. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. And so, in a paradoxical way, I wanted to just share about detoxifying from validation, the need to be validated, which I think is what I went through last 2 weeks, very intensely. And yeah, even though your validation felt amazing, for us to be able to experience validation in a way where we're not doing things for the sake of validation, but it's kind of like a cherry on top for following our integrity, following our authenticity, expressing for the sake of expression, and allowing that little validation, where however that validation comes through, maybe not directly from something that we do, there's always a validation that comes through that feels very aligned when we follow that like raw heart path of our uniqueness. And yeah, so I'll just unlinearly share more about what my experience was in the past 2 weeks. It was like, it began with some mental programs that I did clearing with in a subconscious level, like old belief systems that I was clearing through a theta training. And I felt them wanting to be purged, all these beliefs that I had about myself, about not being good enough or not doing enough or being hard, all these programs that I inherited genetically and inherited through growing up, in a Jewish religious environment, and, the critical thinking and the judgment programs. And I did intentional clearing work on them on a mental level, and they had to come through physically. They had to be purged physically. So I got physically ill, and the illness kind of weakened me and forced me into self-forgiveness and into things that the only things I could do were the things that were fully aligned with my soul. So I just started doodling. I'll show you the doodle. Yeah, so my body wouldn't allow me to do anything unless it was aligned. So I was like, okay, watching something funny feels aligned. This is a waste of time, but I'll watch something funny. And then I had the energy to doodle, so I started doodling. And it wasn't with an intention to get something out of it. It was doing something for the sake of expression, for the sake of feeling aligned and expressive, without the need to make money, without the need to show. Even though I'm showing you, it wasn't for the purpose of me showing it to somebody. It was just so joyful. Every time I look at it, I'm like, wow, what a pleasure it was, how aligned it felt. And also the video I made those few days ago felt like that. It was like, I'm just gonna do this because it feels good and it feels aligned. And there's no external eye that's like watching over me, or like a validation that I'm waiting for. And it was healing. I was able to, now I feel my soul way more in my body. I feel my heart opened again, which it was kind of clogged for a while. I'm like, where's my heart? Where's my inspiration? Where the fuck did it go? And what I think happened also is that I was doing the things I loved and was on this kind of like wave uphill, whatever uphill means, and I was getting validation for it. And then I started operating based off the validation that I would get. So like people were like, we really like your comedy videos, and I was like getting more feedback on Facebook and Instagram, or like I was getting, validation on TikTok or whatever, and I started like doing things for validation. And I realized I was doing it for validation because I was like going up and down in waves based on the validation, or like judging myself for not producing what they wanted, you know. And I think I had to detoxify from that, because that was never my intention with sharing online or recording myself or any of that. It was for the sake of expression, and that's why it always felt good. And I think that that's something tricky that we all deal with when we start following our true heart's desire, our dharma, and start sharing our hearts. There are all these like pathways, these like little creepy tunnels we can walk down, where the ego is like, oh, you know, you can make and it's not that money's bad. It's not that. It's just there's like soul alignment, and then there's all these like things that come along the way that, like, you know, in Hebrew they call it yetzer hara, like that kind of like dark inclination, that thing that wants to play with you, that dark shadow that wants to play with you, like, oh, you can use your talent or do this for this, like just sell your soul ta-da, and you'll get all these things. So it's kind of based off cause and effect, like what you'll get out of something, or like envisioning how people will see you, or how power, control, and it's very like subtle things that start creeping up on you. And like it could be playing out through people that seem very angelic, and like I've had so many people this year come to me and be like, I'll blow you up, you know, I'll blow you up, I'll make you a star. And feeding into those things that felt not aligned, but I was judging myself for thinking like, oh, you don't want to evolve, you don't want to grow, you don't want to impact. So I fed into it, and it really created a disharmony and a misalignment and closed my heart. And so even though I would do the things that I know I love doing, it wasn't the same, because I lost my connection with Creator. I lost my why. I lost my true intent. And it's scary when going down a path like that. I didn't go too deep, but now I remember what that disharmony feels like. So yeah, this is super unlinear expression. It's really hard for me to actually communicate in a way that's very linear. This is my authentic expression, so I trust that whoever tunes in will be in that like energetic understanding of energetic expression, I'll call it. So I'd love for this, all of this, to just be a reminder to express for the sake of expression. And the validation will be like a cherry on top. The universe will bring you validation. Like the validation for my expression of the last video was like how my body felt mostly. I was like, oh my God, that felt so good. Like I felt my heart expressing. It was like so uncomfortable to create that video where I'm sharing me at my worst, and like not even having a clear point and not completing a point. And, you know, it's not it's not something I would like send to my parents and be like, you're proud of me? Like, you know, like it's like, it was, and it like healed me. So our expression heals us when it's expression for the sake of expression. And the energy comes back, that it's like a flow of energy that returns to us immediately. It's like our natural heartbeat, our soul rhythm, our life force, the way it flows in this reality. And that is irreplaceable. That has no price. That is a tangibly felt immediate response. It doesn't require us to like wait for a response from the external, like sending in our resume and being like, oh, did I get accepted? It's not that kind of energy. It's more of like, oh my God, I'm breathing. That expression it feels like breathing. It feels uncomfortable. Like, how deep am I gonna breathe? You know, how is this gonna feel in my body? How is it gonna be received? It feels like the unknown. It feels like uncomfortable. But that expression, however it plays out in your life, that is your raw soul, your raw heart beating in this physical reality. And yeah, I just felt called to share that. That's the way we detoxify from validation. There's been, I have to close because I think I only have 10 minutes since I currently have you beautiful beings that are 67 followers. So I'm gonna close. I'm gonna continue this in another video. Sending you so much love. Please do like or subscribe or share.